Juggling work and life and clients and your business and everything in between can sometimes feel like you're constantly playing catch up and that you're never breaking through to that next level. Maybe you feel like you don't have enough time for one thing or another, probably overwhelms you, maybe you're feeling a little bit stressed. And that's why a 6-hour work week is the answer to your problems. In this guide, we're going to jump over to the whiteboard, which is my favorite type of video. We're going to go through how I break down my working days and my working weeks so that I only do 6 hours of client work a week, and yet it still manages to grow my business, and every single day I'm working less and less and less. This way you'll be able to plan in the things that are important to you, such as relaxation, family time, hobbies, health and fitness, growing your business rather than growing other people's businesses, and anything else you might want to do. So I'm going to let you into a little secret. I believe that time management is bullshit. I don't think it exists, and I think time management is the equivalent of life and energy management. I'm always surprised at how many people who tell me, oh, I don't have the time for this, I could never find the time for that. And yet, if a customer came to you saying, I've got a $20,000 budget, I'm looking to work with you, I'd need 45 minutes to go through the details, all of a sudden, you'd be able to find 45 minutes for that. It is especially difficult when you're running your own business because you can feel like you need to do the work and you need to do the work of your business to grow your business. And sometimes it can feel like a little bit of FOMO when opportunities come your way that you might not be able to work on. The good news is that there is a system that works, and I'm going to take you through that system and show you how I structure my working week. In fact, I do less than 6 hours worth of client work a week. I do way more of the other stuff, and yet the business grows literally every single month. So let's jump over to the whiteboard, and the first thing I want us to do is to list out all of the different things that you need to do. So this includes stuff like lead generation for your own business. For example, maybe it includes client work. Now this one obviously we'll be working on. I'm going to show you exactly how I do this. So client work goes here, lead gen for your own business. We've got writing content maybe. Maybe you want to do some networking, but it's not just about work. It's also things like the gym, family time. Cooking is really big in our house, so I like to make sure I'm spending time cooking and going out and buying like good ingredients and using them at home. There's of course things such as strategy, which I don't think enough people apply enough time to. You've got meetings, anything that you basically do in the day. Now, if you're struggling with this list, my advice would be just do your best, just dump everything else out that you can, and I'm going to show you how to filter and sort this out. So there's basically 3 types of work. There's long term, there's medium term, and there's client. Client work and doing client work allows you to do medium work and long-term work. But without doing long-term work and medium-term work, you won't find any client work. So what we need to do now is divide up the different types of tasks into their different categories. Long-term means the payoff is going to be a long, long way away. It's essentially things like strategy or strategic thinking, where you say, I'm going to spend 45 minutes thinking about my business and the future of my business. That won't pay off until months, years, or even decades into the future. But if you do it every day, long term, the value and the growth is massive. Medium term is stuff like lead generation. It's things that you would be able to apply, do a bit of work, and they'll probably pay off within a few months, maybe even a few weeks. Client work, on the other hand, is where you physically execute the promises that you've made to your customers. And here's what I'm going to suggest to you. I'm going to tell you when to do this work. So first of all, we're going to put some of these different types of projects in these different categories. Client work is only going to have client. Now, if you want to divide this up, maybe you have 2 or 3 clients that you work with, or you only sell one product and you think, well, basically we split this up between ads, copy and testing, for example, that's absolutely fine, but don't feel you need to get into that level of granularity. Client, and then I want you to write 2 times 3 at the top. Long-term work is stuff like content creation, networking, I would say is pretty long-term, but I would also say that strategy is a long-term playoff, because while you might give yourself 45 minutes a day or half an hour a day, or learning, being coached, all of this kind of stuff, this is where it will eventually pay off. And the more consistently you can do long-term work, the bigger the payoffs are and the easier client work and medium-term work is made. Medium-term work is stuff like meetings. It's things that are essentially going to pay off relatively soon. So lead gen, maybe you've got things such as creating processes, interviewing, for example. There are things that might take a little bit of time. Maybe they only take a few minutes, but they'll start paying off within a few weeks or a few months. As an agency owner, it can sometimes feel like you've got a million things going on at once, and sometimes you might not know where to focus, what to focus on next, or what to prioritize. Maybe it feels like you're constantly playing catch up, and I completely understand that. And that is why I created 7-Figure Freedom. 7-Figure Freedom is a methodology for organizing your life and your business and everything in between into something that feels like you're making progress. With our system, you'll be able to identify your long-term goals as well as build a plan on how to get there and knowing what you need to execute every single day. You'll also be able to focus on what matters without feeling stressed out. And if you'd like to have a quick conversation about how your business could use 7-Figure Freedom, head over to sellyourservice.co.uk/freedom or use the link down below for a quick one-on-one 10-minute revenue audit with one of our specialists or myself to understand how we can grow your business. In the meantime, let's get back to the video. So we've now got long-term, medium-term, and client work. And here's what we're going to do. As a vague rule, most people are, or at least should be doing, a 5-day week. Now, we actually only do a 4-day week here at Sell Your Service. And if you want to get down to a 4-day week, I highly recommend doing that. But what I have noticed is that for me personally, throughout the day, my energy levels are highest in the morning and lowest towards the evening or late afternoon. So most people will put client work at the top here because they feel that's what needs to get done. And that is categorically incorrect. What I want you to do is put your long-term strategic times at the start or the top of the day. Now, if you are one of those people that genuinely does have more energy in the afternoon or the evening, then just flip this round. The point is we are matching your energy levels and ability to focus on the long-term growth of your business. So that's why in the mornings, my long-term tasks such as content creation, strategic thinking, taking the business forward, learning, coaching, all of that is done at the start of the day because that's when I'm freshest. I then put my medium-term work later in the day, and I don't do it as frequently. Now, medium-term work, bizarrely, doesn't need to be done as frequently. You could do this 3 times a week. Things like lead generation benefit massively from you just doing them consistently rather than trying to do one big block. I can assure you that doing 45 minutes of lead gen and sales calls every other day is way more effective than just trying to do them in one day and then not doing anything for a few weeks. And here's where it gets interesting. You only need to do 3 2-hour blocks per week, if these are 2 hours, of client work in order to deliver an outstanding experience to the business. What's really interesting is lots of people tell me, no, I'd have to do way more than that. I'd have to do way more than that. And here's what I want to challenge you on. First of all, if you did 2 hours or 2 45-minute blocks 3 times a week, when your energy is middling, you are going to get the exact same results as if you did 6 hours when your energy was super, super high. If you do that kind of like scatterbrained approach. What most people do is they don't block out their calendar in a way that makes sense, and they just do the client work immediately up front like this, and it takes up the first 2 days, and then there's no energy left or time left for the rest of the longer term and medium term activities for your business. Now, eventually you're going to want to get other people to do the client work for you. You're going to want to hire, get other people to do that work. If you feel that doing 6 hours worth of work, there's no way that you could get that done, you don't have a time management problem, you have a pricing problem. And I would argue that what you need to do is actually increase your prices rather than try to fit in more time. The amount of people who come to me and say, oh, I need more time, I need more people to do more work. In actual fact, if they just raised their prices massively, they wouldn't need to do any more work. And yet they would be working with fewer customers who are also better quality. This is why I believe that time management is bullshit, because it usually is a life management problem. I know this sounds terrifying, but maybe you haven't heard of Parkinson's Law. Parkinson's Law basically dictates that whatever time is allotted to a task, the task will swell to fill that time. If you say to yourself, I've got an entire week to create this video, it'll take a week to create the video. If you say I've only got 20 minutes to create this video, it'll take 20 minutes. And client work is exactly the same. If you say to yourself, I only do client work between 11 and 1 on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, that is when the work will get done. and it will be to as good a quality as if you think, well, I've kind of got all week to do tons of little bits of the work. What's also interesting is that these blocks become very easy to get other people to do because you fit into a routine. Maybe Thursday becomes the day where you send off the reports, you get analysis, you check in with your customers, and they feed back to you. Very quickly, you start to outsource that 2-hour block rather than entire projects, and it becomes way more manageable to hire for people. This is also a really good way of keeping track of your business, and it's a good way of growing and managing growth. It allows you to check that all the bases are being covered and that these tasks that we talked about earlier are being done for the long-term growth and sustainability of the business. Another thing that I like about this is that if you put in things like cooking and family time and the gym, the other tasks slot in around that. Gym and family time is a long-term game plan, but it needs to be put into your calendar strategically. It doesn't have to be every day and it doesn't have to take the whole day, but if it gets done frequently, it gets done better. Regardless of all that, just remember these 4 things: prioritize, plan, work hard, and be consistent. I've actually got a video on the 4 types of deep work here by Cal Newport, so you can go ahead and check out that video where I talk about my thoughts around deep work, what work, what doesn't work. And in the meantime, thank you so much for hanging out with me and watching this video. I'll see you on the next one. Have courage, commit, and take action.